Hello everyone. As part of a new initiative, I have decided to take some of my really long videos and break them down into their various segments after speaking with a friend about it. Of course, the original video that I clipped from will be in the description, and I of course would recommend checking it out. This video is unfortunately a semi-re-upload, as when I grabbed the two segments to make the first video, I accidentally grabbed the wrong segment for the first part. I was incredibly tilted from a video that took me 16 hours to render getting blocked worldwide due to copyright, and it made me extremely tilted. I apologize for the inconvenience. I would also like to note that sometimes in the clip segments, I will make references to things that were mentioned in a previous segment, which obviously won't be here, as I am only taking one raw segment at a time and re-uploading that. So if you do want the full context, again, please watch the original video. Now that I've gotten these disclaimers out of the way, without further ado, play it. You would think the fact that demons evolved from man-eating monsters and still chose to harm humans, or the fact that every interaction with a demon has been very negative to say the least, would be a red flag to anyone who tries to defend the demons by saying that they're an allegory for black people or something, or calling people fascists. This whole argument about how demons represent minorities doesn't even make sense though, especially because humans already exist in Frieren beyond Journey's End. Why go through all that extra effort to dog whistle in minorities when you could only just use black people doing terrible crimes? The main issue that I see from this discourse is that people believe that somehow showing a genocidal, violent human-eating race will somehow make people watching Frieren turn racist. Which is not only a crazy self-own projecting your own beliefs of racism after seeing genocidal, deceitful creatures and comparing them to minorities, but also fails for three simple reasons. The main issue that I see from this discourse is that people believe that somehow showing a genocidal, violent human-eating race will somehow make people watching Frieren turn racist. Which is not only a crazy self-own projecting your own beliefs of racism after seeing genocidal, deceitful creatures and comparing them to minorities, but also fails for three simple reasons. The first reason is the fact that if someone was so racist that if they saw Frieren and immediately started to view demons as minorities, they were going to do that regardless. Do you guys seriously think that some uber racist is just going to be accepting of minorities if this show never aired? No, if it wasn't Frieren, it would either be some other show or just real world examples they would use to justify their bigotry. They don't need a show with evil creatures in it to justify their racism. The second reason, assuming the other implication is that Frieren will brainwash regular people into becoming racist, is that if a singular show is enough to flip-flop random glupshitto's mind into becoming racist after seeing demons, then they're fucking retarded! They have a weak will and are easily swayed by others and have zero convictions. Why do you guys actually care what they say? If a singular show is enough to make someone 180 on a deep personal worldview, I'm not interested in what you have to say. Go flip-flop somewhere else. The third and final reason is that there is no grander purpose than what the demons are supposed to represent. Like the orcs in Lord of the Rings, the wraiths in Stargate, and the necromorphs in Dead Space. They are just a big bad that the main character or characters have to defeat, and who are the antagonists to the main character or characters in their respective universes. Because what's the point of a show if there's no foil to the good or bad guys? They are there to help with the narrative/story, and do not/should not represent minorities. Anyone who views these generic bad guys as something deeper in our real world is downright delusional and projecting their own racist beliefs onto fictional races, regardless of what side they're on the political spectrum saying this bullshit. The black pill that these people are just gonna have to accept is that anything that has a massive audience will statistically gather groups of undesirable people, but they should not affect your overall view of the show. You're just gonna have to deal with it. Basically, the demons are powered up magical descendants of man-eating monsters who have had a long history of war and genocide on every other race, and given the opportunity will backstab and kill people. Like was that demon girl who, after being taken in by the village chief, killed him and held his daughter hostage, or that peace envoy led by Lugner who wanted the city to lower its shield so Orc could come in with her army and destroy the place. Despite all of this and all the other stuff I've said, somehow people still want to defend the demons and say that anyone who hates them and wants them killed is racist or fascist. I genuinely don't know why people would self-own like this by saying how the genocidal, murderous, deceitful race represents minorities, And anyone who wants to see the demons get killed is a racist, fascist, crypto-fascist, alt-right dog whistler, incel chud buzzword, blah blah blah. And I hate to play this card, but the majority of people I see saying that Frieren is for racists and fascists based on how this show handles demons are lefties. If this makes me an alt-right chud for pointing out the obvious, then so be it. As someone who has eyes, and a fair bit of left-wing beliefs, it's very clear what group of people are bashing on Frieren mostly. While doing research for this video, I was only able to find one example of a right-wing person saying that Frieren was racist. And it's Think Before You Speak, the dude known for acting and talking like the living embodiment of the nerd emoji. So I don't really consider him a factor. So as I said before, the demons in Frieren raised some concerns with a small but vocal minority on X, the everything app. And they weren't happy. From talking about how all Frieren fans are racist and how Frieren is for fascists, it is absolutely crazy to me how people could see one of the more popular animes in recent time. And saying all of that is absolutely crazy to me. Seeing an evil race that commits bad deeds and saying they represent minorities is a self-own of unimaginable proportions. So let's take a look at some of these tweets and how they're hot dog shit garbage by pseudo-intellectual retards trying to get the next big hit online. The first big hitter is from this fine individual who has multiple tweets about how Frieren is for fascists. Just tweet after tweet talking about how people hating demons are fascists. This is the same guy, by the way, when he isn't getting into spurg fights from saying autistic stuff online. He's calling people fascists for eating a fuck ton of eggs and doubling down on it, so that should tell you how reliable his claims of fascism really are. You know, I think this dude's a real expert on fascism. His claims of Frieren being fascist are definitely sound in reality, and definitely not because he is self-projecting his feelings of minorities onto demons. This dude is so bad faith that it hurts. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he's a right-wing psyop deliberately designed to make the left look bad. And I know for a fact I'm not the only person that believes this. It's also funny too because he posts quote-unquote proof about how Frieren is for fascists, and so far his proof is people posting meme images comparing how two different shows handle demons. Which isn't fascism since it's just a joke on how each show handles demons the way they do. Was Demon Slayer giving flashbacks for tragic backstories of demons before they turned? I also assume demons aren't fully evil in the Devil May Cry animated show. While in Frieren, every demon, even when given the chance for peace, exploits that. I don't know why that's so hard to understand. Also, apparently cosplayers are now fascists for dressing up as Frieren and quoting her, or comparing Frieren with other forms of media or religion that hate demons. What's next? The Doomslayer's fascist because he kills demons? Will this dude still be calling people who are happy about killing demons in Frieren fascists if it was revealed that these demons tried to genocide the elves by putting them in gas chambers? Or is that too on the nose for this moron? The main reasoning for all of this is apparently the fact that the demons aren't morally wrong, despite every action the demons have taken being antagonistic and predatory to people, which Evan somehow doesn't understand. He also got into really cringy spurg slap fights with other glup shittos in the replies to some of these tweets, which is really funny because it's revealed that he does like the show, and he also outright thinks that Frieren is a lovable little Nazi. Yeah, I have no idea what bro is doing here. He's talking about people being fascist while saying how he thinks that the main character is a lovable little Nazi from a show that he himself loves. Hey man, why would you like a show that has fascism in it and is led by a cute little fascist? Now tell me, what are you trying to say about yourself? Is this one of those Among Us sussy self-report moments? That's like when In Fraser's Shadows defamed Wendigoon as an alt-righter by saying he wears Hawaiian shirts as an alt-right dog whistle, while in that very same video, In Fraser's Shadows was also wearing a Hawaiian shirt himself.
Also, it should be noted that the Boogaloo Boys are known for wearing Hawaiian shirts. And guess who else always has on a Hawaiian shirt, despite the fact that he publicly totally does not share in their beliefs, guys. I'm just saying.
Guys, what are you doing? Stop hitting yourselves. Dude, you're in your 40s posting this tard-ass shit. You're 25 years too old to be acting like this. Pack it up, Evan. You have cancer. Honestly, Evan here should just go back to talking about how you should let kids jerk off or something. Much more up his alley. The next tweet up is from this individual who, after seeing a tweet where someone talks about how demons lie about empathy, they proceed to make a false equivalent about how this is actually an anti-Semitic dog whistle to say that demons lie about empathy. I mean, yeah, it's true, demons leave their young to fend for themselves, They genuinely don't understand the concept of empathy, and every action they have taken towards people has been hostile and antagonistic, regardless of whether or not they actually have any peaceful intentions or not. These are the same demons that tried to use a false peace envoy to get a city to lower its shield so an army could destroy it. Are we even watching the same show now? Yeah man, Frieren is such an anti-Semitic monster for killing that demon girl who even after killing people was taken in by the village chief only to kill him and try and hold his daughter hostage. This is for sure like those shifty Jews, man. You got it. Your heckin' media literacy is skyrocketing right now through the roof. Your first thought seeing some guy talk about how demons take advantage of empathy was an example attached is to immediately talk about killing all Jewish people and how they control the banks. It's nice to know that the deceitful, evil race immediately reminds you of Jewish people. Can't imagine why people don't like the demons when every interaction with a demon in Frieren has been inherently negative towards humanity. I will say I'm surprised someone with a Palestinian flag in their name views anti-Semitic tropes as a bad thing, when most of their criticism on Israel sounds like it's been ripped verbatim from Nick Fuentes. If you want an example of this, then look no further than the terror attack in Bodney Beach in Sydney, where 15 people, some of them being children, died from being gunned down in a public Hanukkah party, and considered the worst terrorist attack in Australia. And you had a bunch of people somehow getting mad when a Jewish person was sad about other Sorry, I forgot you guys like to call them Zionists. So when Zionists died, it got so bad that you had left-wing people start to say that it was that the Bondi Beach shooting was a Mossad Israel Zionist psyop. Basically doing a Nazi meme of a Jewish person self-hate criming themselves, but in the name of Palestine. What are we doing, man? Why are we having Alex Jones tier conspiracies, but for the left? Keep in mind, by the way, that this attack happened to Jewish people living in Australia, meaning that they're not even related to Israel aside from the fact that they're both Zionists. But I was told that there's apparently a difference between Jews and Zionists. Why are we dragging Israel into an event that happened in Australia? As a result of this, I'm honestly not surprised as the left would also adopt the noticing dog whistle used by the far right to point out Zionist activity. Even in tweets where people point out how leftists use far-right rhetoric against Zionist people, you had people in his replies proving his point. I'm just starting to think that Zionist hatred is a bipartisan issue, and no one actually fucks with Jews. The left only pretended to in order to be contrarian to the far right, but now that Israel is widely hated by everyone, and for good reason too, they can finally drop the act. That's the only possible solution for seeing people act so rabid about 15 Jews in Australia dying in a mass shooting. So I have no idea why this bozo is pretending to care about anti-Semitism when he's on the same side as people who use anti-Semitic arguments just because of Israel against the wider Jewish population and runs defense for a genocidal race that lies and backstabs. Would the elves not be the Palestinians in Frieren since the demons tried to genocide them? And would that not mean that the demons would be what's that phrase us lefties like to say online? Yes, spiritually Israeli, but I don't really expect much from a media illiterate chud like this person. I still can't get over the fact that this person saw a fictional evil race lie about having a father, and immediately decide to compare them to Jews. Oy vey, stop noticing, goyim. There's also, of course, some more classic racism takes where people are bitching and moaning that Frieren is racist for the crime of hating the genocidal, man-eating, deceitful race that wiped out her village, have had overwhelmingly negative and hostile interactions with other people that involve death, and waged a 1,000-year war against every other race. How dare people not be sad when Frieren kills demons? Honestly, you guys are just telling on yourselves when you see an evil and deceptive race and immediately equate them to minorities when humans already exist in the same universe. Yeah guys, I might see a violent, deceptive, man-eating race and immediately assume that it's a minority group, but that just means you're the real racist here. This argument also fails when you realize that demons aren't supposed to represent humans at all. They're just a big bad that the heroes are supposed to overcome, like the Wraith in Stargate, the Necromorphs in Dead Space, Skynet in Terminator, the demons in Doom, and the Empire in Star Wars. The demons in Frieren are just another evil faction that do not and should not represent real-world groups. I disavow that belief strongly on both sides of the argument. With that being said though, if the demons in Frieren were real, I would absolutely not trust them at all. they have proven time and time again that they are not to be trusted. Even when they want coexistence, every interaction with them and humans have resulted in human deaths. It's very obvious they have a need to kill people, but that's not surprising considering their origins as man-eating monsters. So the smart thing to do is avoid demons, or kill them if necessary. But the people defending the demons are not smart, so they would live with the demons. Then they would get killed, and I would not feel bad whatsoever. To sum up, the people who try and tie in real-world groups into a fictional evil race that has done nothing but kill and lie are downright delusional and should not be taken seriously whatsoever, since they self-project their own racist/fascist beliefs onto fictional races. The demons are evil because they are biologically predisposed to hunt and kill humans, which is reflected in every interaction with demons, resulting in death and misery for everyone else. So now that we got the whole demons and Frieren are minorities discourse out of the way, surely there has to be some other Frieren discourse aside from calling Frieren fans racists and fascists, especially with Season 2 in full swing. The good news, there is other discourse. The bad news is that this discourse is probably just as dumb as the demons are minorities one, if not more so. So it starts off when this person posts about how Frieren could be better if Himmel was a more flawed/grey character. Basically, this dude is just upset that Frieren has the audacity to make a hero character actually be a good person and not just be a secret piece of shit. Because, oh yeah, that's so innovative and creative, man. What if, like good guy, wasn't always like good guy? Crazy concept that's definitely never been done before, man. You're clearly the first to think of it. Why couldn't anyone else come up with this idea? Your heckin' media literacy is through the roof! You're just obsessed with the concept of what if the pure virtuous thing isn't actually pure and virtuous. And Himmel has made mistakes. A major one being when he let that girl demon live, who eventually ended up killing a village chief and ended up holding that chief's daughter hostage. I know you disagree on that example, but he did it because he legitimately thought that the demons could change and be better. AKA he was extremely naive, which can be considered an actual negative trait. Despite this, Himmel still strives to be the best and put his best foot forwards. I actually appreciate Frieren playing it straight with the good guy trope, as the good guy who's actually a terrible person trope is a bit overdone at this point. I actually appreciate Frieren playing it straight, as the good guy who's actually a terrible person trope is a bit overdone. But to make a long story short, they were not happy with people disagreeing with their media literate take of replacing one generic trope with another generic trope. And so they decided to pull the Twitter/X classic of writing a massive cope thread. Yeah man, just keep posting through it. You're doing great. Did you know that you were actually one more unhinged paragraph away from convincing everyone that you were right? Why don't you post some more? Fun fact, when I went to screenshot this entire thread, I couldn't even get the whole thing even after zooming out to the max. This is the best I got. Some gems to this absolute essay Bruta was him saying that he activated the Palantir chip of rightoids. Dude, just say Jews at this point. You guys no longer make the Jewish Zionist distinction anymore. Also, none of these people are crying about the fall of Western civilization. They're flaming you for being a retarded communist, which you are. A worldview of you need to have good people be flawed for no other reason than just because sucks. The other thing of note in that long-ass thread is that some of the issues he has with Frieren is their treatment of demons. So nice to know that the demon discourse is inescapable. It's also very interesting that he doesn't like the morality of Frieren, especially considering some of the real-world groups he likes and supports, such as Hamas, the terrorist organization, and North Korea, one of the most oppressive authoritative dictatorships. Hamas is mainly known now for the October 7th attacks, where they violently attacked and killed many innocent civilians, with some of them being raped, tortured, and brutally killed. They also have a very long history of attacking Israel with rocket bombardments mainly, ever since they came to power in Palestinian territories in 2006. And while there have been periods of ceasefire between them and Israel, it has very obviously not worked out. Now I know Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF are monsters and should be held accountable for their crimes, but we don't need to support the murderous rapist terrorists in order to do so. As for North Korea, they tightly monitor and suppress their citizens, prohibiting contact with the outside world, especially South Korea, with minor criticisms of the North Korean government being a jailable offense. Speaking of jails, They forced people they arbitrarily jailed into intensive prison labor for various projects, and enforced this prison work was physical coercion. Of course, there was also the food shortage incident in Korea, where most of the remaining food got delivered to the elites and the military, leaving everyone else to fend for themselves in a blatant act of selfishness. Of course, we can't forget about North Korea's death penalties, where they execute you for the crimes of attempting to leave the country, accessing foreign media, and criticizing the government. Wow, I can't imagine why not many people like North Korea. You know you got a great country when you actively try and kill everyone who leaves. And before anyone accuses me of falling for CIA propaganda for North Korea, these North Korean crimes were discovered by the UN. So unless you want to pull an Alex Jones and tell me that the 193 countries in the UN are CIA propaganda, I'd suggest you actually do some basic research on the groups you're defending. I found out about the Hamas and North Korean crimes in 10 to 15 minutes of Googling. Those Hamas and North Korea posts do bring his "Himmel would be better if he was morally gray" post into question though. As with those two posts in mind, do you think his idea of Himmel being more interesting / morally gray was if Himmel was raping and killing innocent civilians and committing terrorist attacks? Or if Himmel ran an authoritative dictatorship where he ruled over the peasants with an iron fist, was arbitrary arrests and forced prison labor under brutal conditions? Really makes you think. If you thought that was the end of it though, you'd be wrong. He just keeps doubling down. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he has a humiliation kink. While he's getting busted up online, he's busting nuts in real life. All of his Frieren arguments can basically be summed up as,
arrogance and stupidity all in the same package. How efficient of you.
But yeah, his attempts to defend himself are completely pathetic. His first defense was to talk about how people defending Frieren promote content by people called Lolly Hitler Rapist 88. Okay, so we're just grasping at straws here when you imply that everyone who thinks that your take of replace generic trope with other generic trope is retarded supports Lolly Hitler Rapist 88. Absolute shower thought strawman argument. This the best you got after arguing with your shampoo bottles? Wait, no, that actually implies that you shower. 0 out of 10. Use more buzzwords next time. But I mean, hey, if your take is so retarded that the imaginary people who retweet Lolly Hitler Rapist 88 can look good, maybe you should take that as a sign of how dogshit your argument is if these people can dunk on you easily. Kind of a self-own on your part. Something broken clocks are right twice a day. But it ultimately doesn't matter because it turns out that this dude was just lying through the skin of his teeth.
You think black people... What a fucking liar, dude! What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude! What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude!
The very next day, he posts about how there's Nazis in the Frieren fandom that use Nazi dog whistles. So now we finally get to see these fabled Lolly Hitler Rapists 88s and the people who retweet them, right? Well, no. After looking through the screenshots, feel free and pause to look through them yourself, I couldn't help but notice a distinct lack of people who have any mention of Lolly Hitler Rapist 88 in their usernames, or who have retweeted Lolly Hitler Rapist 88 or whatever.
You think black people... What a fucking liar, dude! What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude!
Whoa, that's crazy, man. The guy who goes to bat for rapist terrorist groups and authoritative dictatorships is dishonest. Must be another day that ends in Y. The claim that these people are using Nazi dog whistles is also an outright lie, as when you look at the screenshots again, they're all just basically saying how they appreciate that Frieren doesn't try and do the morally gray trope and how they're sick of it. I guess if you're sick of the morally gray character trope, you're a Nazi now. Everyone I don't like is Hitler, by the way. Can't even be sick of a generic trope without the Nazi dog whistle accusations.
You're retarded, you have AIDS.
As I've stated earlier, this dude is a glutton for punishment, so he also posts this where he makes fun of the concept of a hero not doing good deeds for monetary gain, as well as mocking the show's slow pacing, which I know for a fact because he got into an argument with someone over this, which he doesn't even deny. And then posts a clip trying to prove his point but ultimately shoots himself in the foot. As it shows Stark not understanding why Frieren helps people without reward, so he asks. And then Frieren answers in such a way that causes Stark to remember his own personal experience protecting his town. So the flashback makes sense in this instance. The flashbacks make sense since Stark asked Frieren the same question that she asked Himmel, which was why she helped people without a reward. She answered in the same way that Himmel did, which is to protect more people. and this causes Stark to remember him protecting his own village. Everything checks out. You don't even elaborate on why this is supposed to be a bad thing. It was also revealed from that very same clip that this dude is a dirty 2x show speed watcher. Dude, how cooked is your brain that you gotta watch anime in 2 times speed? Actually, dog subhuman behavior. Hey man, would Frieren be better for you if there were Subway Surfers or Family Guy clips playing at the bottom of the screen? Or are you more of a soap cutting video guy? Maybe some jangling keys? But all of the Frieren hate from this dude makes so much more sense now. It's just some dude ass mad that Frieren is a slower paced show and isn't aura and hype moments 24/7, even though Frieren still has its fair share of action scenes. He of course claims that he doesn't watch anime in 2 times speed, but considering how he's a known bad faith liar, that's cap. But even if he wasn't lying, yeah, the show's pretty slow. Everyone knows this. Why are you trying to make your tweet for people who can't watch a 1 to 2 minute clip, when most of the people who watch Frieren have no issues engaging with that kind of clip from the show? If you don't like a slower paced show, it's one thing, but IDK why you're still watching Frieren when it's obvious that it's not working out for you, let alone trying to be inflammatory about it for Twitter/X engagement. At least get a blue check if you're gonna be this inflammatory. And it's not just me noticing this. Other people have also picked up on the fact that when they give him actual criticisms of his Frieren takes, he will refuse to engage with them, instead opting to get down and dirty in the mud and shitfling with everyone else calling him names. Because as this person says, he refuses to engage with people who actually debunk his statements, but will argue with low-hanging fruit over a fight that he started. It's pretty obvious that this dude's issues with Frieren is that A, it does generic trope X instead of generic trope Y. And B, the slow pacing of the show. Yeah, so basically when Frieren Discourse isn't calling people Nazis and racists over the demons and at worst, an extremely small minority of people who watch the show, it's people who are upset that Frieren is a slower paced show and don't understand that replacing generic trope with another generic trope isn't any better, or who ultimately just have an issue with slower paced shows. If you don't like slower paced shows, that's one thing, but it's another to whine about how you have an issue with the pacing and not actually explain why it's bad. There's nothing inherently wrong with slower paced shows. As a matter of fact, I like a fair bit of them myself, and based on the popularity of Frieren, I can tell that I'm not alone in this stance. Something tells me that this is only the beginning though, and that Frieren is going to be subject to a lot more discourse in the future. Here's to another 100 years of people aggressively posturing that Frieren is a slower paced show, or culture war stuff about how demons are black people or something.
Let's play.